I haven't done a video in a long time, and the reason is because we put a pause on the business because the lease was not complete and the area that we were having the business was not complete. It's almost complete right now, part of the business, the other part is not. And this video is to cover what happens when you put a pause. It's called a penalty, basically. And it's not only the business. I got injured, I had a baby, and we did travel. But without the lease, we couldn't move on and move forward on the business. Now, the thing that I want to cover on the penalty is as soon as you start your business, you just got to keep on going. As soon as you start the paperwork, for example, how did I get a penalty or how did we get a penalty? We did our DTI. We assumed that the space was going to be delivered to us on the time that the lease that I signed that supposed to be in our possession. The worker didn't finish on time, a little bit slow, and the lease was going back and forth because the owner of the space doesn't live in the same city as we do. In the Philippines, he lives on another island, or he lives, I don't want to say he lives abroad, but he works abroad and he lives in another island. So when he flies back to the Philippines, he goes to that specific island. We are in Cebu, and the lease, by the time it gets delivered back and forth, it's already delayed so long. In addition, there was a revision, amendment, or any way you want to name it on the lease that it had to go back and forth a couple of times. With that being said, once the DTI starts, you have 1 month to do the BIR paperwork. The BIR paperwork requires the lease to be on there, a copy of the lease. Since the copy of the lease wasn't there within the 1 month period, we get a penalty. We did not go to the BIR because we didn't have the lease. Actually, we did go once and they told us we have to have the lease. So we waited until we got the lease to go back. By that time, we already incurred the penalty. I believe it's 1,000 per business. And since we have 2 businesses in the same location, we got a penalty of 1,000 times 2. And that's one thing that I want to cover is that once you start the paperwork and the workflow, there's going to be penalties if you don't finish certain things on a certain time. At the same time, we did go to the BIR training, and they also told us that if we don't finish certain taxes, because I don't want to say it, there's so many taxes, but it depends on the business that you have. Some businesses, they give you this certificate, and I noticed that some individuals in the training only had like 2 or 3 forms. For us, we have multiple. Some of them were monthly, some of them were quarterly, some of them were yearly, and some of them were monthly, and then it switched to a quarterly different form, and for the end of the year it switched to another form. So we have to be careful, because if we do the wrong one, we might get another penalty. Just be careful and be ready that if you don't finish certain things at a certain time, there's going to be a penalty. For example, we just finished the BIR and they told us if we don't get the print shop ready to go, meaning that she already got notified on our authorized to print within a month, we're going to get another penalty. And that's the first thing that we did. Right now, I have to go back to the BIR since the print shop has a question that they want us to ask the BIR to verify. After that, hopefully everything goes well, and then we move to our next step. I'm not going to cover the forms because I left the paperwork inside in another room, and I'd rather just give you the information that I wanted to cover, that there's going to be penalties or consequences. As in penalties, a penalty equals you have to pay a fee. And if you don't want to keep on paying fees, you have to do everything on time. And like I mentioned, we got one because we did a DTI and we couldn't do the BIR within that 1 month span, and we got a penalty. times 2 because we got 2 businesses. And now with the print shop, we still have 15 more days, and we is trying to do everything fast but accurate. And that was our next step, or else we get another penalty. After that, as a laundry and water refilling, like I mentioned, we have 3 forms that we have to fill, and each form is on a different date of the following month. Since they're monthly, I could start on 1st of the following month, and we're trying to do everything as soon as possible so there's no delay or I procrastinate not doing the forms on time. And hopefully this helps, because you need to understand that there's penalties. Now, to cover, if you want to do the BIR first and then the DTI, I'm not sure if you could do that. I'm not sure if there's a specific way or pattern that you have to do, but we did a DTI, BIR, and now we're doing the forms or anything that we have to do afterwards on the business side. That's all I got. Thank you, and thank you for watching. Have a good day.